Okay, this is how much time there is until the alignment of Jupiter's birth. Okay, let me show you what's going on here. You see that red line there? You might think that's the path of Hurricane Irma, but it is not. But it seems to make landfall on Florida at about the same spot as Hurricane Irma would. Oops, that's the wrong buttons there. So I'm going to open up my PowerPoint here. Okay, finally the computer's loading up. I can tell you just by looking at this. Well, a couple things you can see here that I'll tell you about. This right here is the path of the 2017, sorry, it's 2:55 in the morning here, the 2017 eclipse, solar eclipse that went from coast to coast. It's the first one that's happened since, I think it is 1918, 99 years ago. That was a coast-to-coast eclipse, and it didn't touch any other nations, just from ocean to ocean. You can see here it ended right around where Hurricane Alley starts. Hurricane Alley starts in this area and creates hurricanes, and they float across the Atlantic Ocean, and then they come up into the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, or up onto the east coast of the United States. Okay, so what is this red line that you see here? There's also a little red circle right here. You'll also notice here that this red line goes right near Cairo, and the Giza pyramids are right over here in this area somewhere. I'll notice exactly where they are. I'm just kind of looking around here trying to find them. There they are. Okay, so here are the pyramids. Great Pyramid has a ratio of 7 to 11. In other words, 11 units wide for 7 units high. So there it is. So let's just get a distance here. Let's just sort of get a rough estimate. There it is, only 32 miles away from this red line. Okay, and if we look over here, this red line is going through a city called Istanbul. Istanbul, Turkey used to be formerly Constantinople. It was the capital of the Roman Empire and the capital of the Ottoman Empire. And it looks like the computer is going to start acting up on us a little bit here, but let's try to keep doing this anyways. The reason it's acting up is because I've opened up PowerPoint, and in PowerPoint I have a lot of slides to show you. I'm not going to show them all to you, but I'll show you what I can. Alrighty, while it's still loading because it's thinking, let's take a look at the news. We've got 2 minutes and 51 seconds. If you look at the hurricane path of Hurricane Irma, what do you see right there? If you look at the shape of the state of Florida, well, it certainly looks like Hurricane Irma is going to be making the eye will be passing over right near Naples, Florida.
Okay, this was the news on Storm Team 5, okay, in Florida during Hurricane Irma. And what they were showing here is where Hurricane Irma was making landfall with Florida. Well, at least the eye was making landfall. This is where the eye was. This man standing on the left-hand side of the eye wall, and the right-hand side of the eye wall is over here. So it's just circled right in this area. Okay. The strongest winds of the eye wall are the ones that have the movement of the storm in conjunction with the speed of the wind along the eye wall. So in other words, the storm's moving this way like 15 miles an hour or whatever it is. So you can add that wind of just the movement of the storm at 15 miles an hour plus the rotation of the storm. And so you get the strongest winds right here of the entire storm. This is where the strongest winds are. And what I was pointing out is that's exactly where the alignment with Istanbul, Turkey at solar noon on September 9th when Jupiter was born crossed Florida, the exact same spot. Okay, this is going by at 22 miles per second, but when it's solar noon in Istanbul, Turkey, this is where it intersects Florida, exactly where the strongest winds of Hurricane Irma were.
Take a look at that. The outer ring there that you are looking at is the hurricane force winds. And if this red coastline here, which is a hurricane warning, if that wasn't in there, you could probably say just about now the hurricane force winds are starting to make contact with the Florida Keys. Coincidence? I don't know, but look at this. Not that timer, that timer. We got 44 seconds left. 44 seconds left to what? 44 seconds left to where the sign, I'll just start right here. I'm not going to have time to show you because my computer's too slow. Alrighty. There it is. It just happened. And what just happened? This is what just happened. Right there. You know, what's that? That's the birth of Jupiter from the constellation of Virgo. What on earth am I talking about? This is when the red line crosses through Istanbul, Turkey on the other side of the Earth. And guess what? It's exactly solar noon in Istanbul, Turkey right now. Muslims are probably praying right now. They pray at solar noon. They don't pray at noon. They pray at solar noon. This evening in Istanbul, Turkey is Eid al-Gadir. This is a holiday in which Sunnis will celebrate the successor to Muhammad, whoever they believe the Sultan should be. And you can go ahead and read that if you'd like. So what has this got to do with anything? And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns, and 7 crowns upon his heads. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. Well, the only part of this that hasn't been happened yet is the moon is not at her feet. We'll get to this in a moment.
Okay, let's take a look at this again. Today is now, it's almost 1:11. Oh my goodness, it's 1:10. Okay, look at that. Oh, 1:10 and 11 seconds. All right, so it's almost 1:11. It's like we're right at the end here. Now, this happened on the 9th. Okay, when what you're looking at, that screenshot, is on the 9th. It's been a few days now, and I'm trying to set this up so you can see it. Okay, the tropical force winds are the yellow circle. The hurricane force winds are the little red one here in the middle, okay? Or the brownish one. This is an image from 5 a.m. on Saturday. The alignment happened at 6 a.m. Where do you think the storm was at 6 a.m.? At 6 a.m., this boundary here was just starting to make contact with Florida. 6 a.m., or 6 o'clock and 57 seconds, is the time that it was in Florida on September 9th when Jupiter, the alignment with Jupiter, Hezi and Spica, and Istanbul, Turkey, and solar noon, and all that coming together, all that wasn't aligned with Florida at 6 a.m. That alignment is going by at 22 miles a second. Okay, so that's when it was aligned. So as the hurricane was just starting to touch the United States of America, the birth of Jupiter was happening. I don't know what it means. You tell me. Maybe it doesn't mean anything. Maybe it means something, but it certainly seems like a coincidence to me because it's happening at the location where the alignment was. It's not in Houston, okay? It's at Florida. It's not in Georgia. It's at Florida. It's not at Louisiana. It's at Florida. The fact that you got a hurricane making contact at the same spot, which the eye will go right over here where the pointer is. But the beginning of the storm is touching Florida when the alignment is happening with Jupiter. The fact you got it in the same spot at the same time, and this was a record-breaking hurricane. Thank God it hit the Cuban island here and broke up and weakened. Otherwise it would have just devastated Miami. It would have come up the Florida Strait here and just rammed Miami. Thank God it went down to the south and hit Cuba and then weakened. I see this as a warning. I really do. The fact that same time, same place, and a record-breaking hurricane all came together right here at the time of the alignment of Jupiter's birth, I think is a warning to September 23rd. This is part of the sign. Okay?
The moon is not under her feet yet. But Jupiter has been born. Alright, to show you appropriately, I probably should get Stellarian up. Now my computer is really going slow, so I may really crash it by doing that. But do you see something amazing happening? I did a video on this probably almost a year ago, and I made these slides quite a long time ago, well before that. And what is shocking to me is this alignment right here of this red line going through Florida and going through Istanbul, Turkey. Not only is it near where the eclipse comes out, matter of fact, if you were to put the moon's shadow here, it frames nicely right in there. I would have a hard time finding that picture for you, but I have had it where it shows the moon touches the coast and touches that edge of the alignment all right here when the eclipse was happening. So anyways, this is really the alignment of when it's solar noon in Istanbul, Turkey over here, and when the alignment occurs with the sun, with Jupiter being born. So the red line is Jupiter being born, the yellow line is the meridian line for this for this solar noon, and this comes together on a street called Iron Street. And if you know anything about that, you'll be amazed. It says Demir, and that's in Turkish is Iron Street. I can show you on a translator, but you can go ahead and do that yourself if you want. And it happens at a house called 1212 Demir Street. We could go ahead and take a look, I guess. This person's home. And you'll notice right up here in the corner it says 1212 Demir. You can even see the 12s, 12 and 12. See them? See those 12s? 12, 12. Okay. So, interesting that this happens that represents iron.
Please don't go to that person's house and bother them.
Okay. Alright, so Jupiter is now 4 minutes and 53 seconds old. Let's take a look here. So what's really going on here? If you haven't heard, and you probably, if you're watching this, you probably know all about this. But if you haven't, basically, you could go to YouTube if your computer works better than mine and type in Revelation 12 sign. And you'll get all this information about the Revelation 12 sign, and how basically what's going on is we have the woman clothed with the sun. I have to use solarium here, with the moon under her feet and a crown of 12 stars. The constellation of Leo is making up that situation. Let's go to my own picture so you can get it there. Sorry about the slowness of my computer. I may have to edit this, for final production to give to people. So you may notice over here the clock changing, and I mean it may change a bunch because sometimes when I try to edit things they don't go so well, and you might even see 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning by the time I get this done. Who knows, maybe I can get it done quickly, maybe not. But obviously, as you can tell, my computer is not performing very well because I'm trying to do a screenshot or capturing a video, and I got this huge PowerPoint presentation running. I've got a lot open, and I don't have quite enough memory on my computer for this. And I need to open another program on top of it, and Google Earth is a big zapper. So let's just close that, and let's try. Let's see if we can get Stellarium going so I can show you there.
Okay, so I just closed the whole thing. If you want to learn more about what's really going on with the sign, just type in September 23rd or Revelation 12. Scotty Clark is the one who's really got a lot going on with this. And you'll find all kinds of things. There's, here's one of his videos. Just type in Revelation 12. Revelation 12 sign, something like that. You will find hundreds of videos on it, and people saying it will happen, won't happen, everyone discussing it. But you'll find a lot of stuff, Steve, can't even say his name, Cocolante, or whatever his name is. This guy, he's got a lot of stuff on it too. So just go ahead and start doing some research on your own, and you'll learn about it there. I was just sort of giving you a little extra on it, that's all, and how it hooked up to Hurricane Irma.